We are back with the latest episode of the Big Game Podcast, man. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Hunter. I'm here with my man, Daniel Horton. What's good with you, bro?
What's up, big fella? What's up? Good to be back, man. Been
Good
off
to
for about a week.
Yeah, been off about a week, man. Both of us got a little busy with, lifing. Life gets to lifing, so you got to take care of the main thing. And but man, I'm excited to get back. We got a lot of stuff to talk about when you're talking about Michigan basketball. It's been a few games been played. Most recently, the game against our in-state rival, Michigan State. And unfortunately, Michigan falls again, man. They lost to Michigan State 79-62. All right.
Yeah.
For me, I'm happy the game didn't get out of hand as I thought it probably could have gotten beforehand, and the Wolverines were able to put together a second half that made it somewhat competitive there. But they've been reeling down the stretch, man. I think the type of basketball they've been playing down the stretches has not been their best brand, both as a team and a lot of people individually. So just give me your take on the state of this program right now as we look at it headed into the BigTen tournament.
As far as the state of the program, as overall, from a general perspective, we're in a really good place, right? 22-8 or whatever they are, and you're going to be a 4-5 seed in the tournament. Given where, with 13 new guys and a new coaching staff, that's, if you told them they were going to be here at the beginning of the season, they would take it, right?
Yeah.
But you kind of have to recalibrate. Like, I know a lot of people like to stick with that and use that as their logic for explaining away the basketball that we've seen played recently, right? But I think as you go, once this team shows that they're capable of doing something, you have to recalibrate those expectations on the fly, right? You can't keep saying, well, compared to last year, we were this. Well, compared to this with Juwan, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we've established that. They've moved past that. They've set a new bar. They've reestablished expectations and internal standards, right? So we have to judge them by that. We can't keep saying, hey, well, compared to last year. Well, in this moment, that's from a general perspective, right? From in the moment perspective, a more like a close-up view of it, they're not playing well right now.
Yeah,
and they haven't been playing well for a few weeks now, a month, at least a month, right?
Yeah.
They've managed to pull out a couple games, and they've managed to. But even going all the way back to Minnesota, the play has just been really up and down since the Minnesota game, and it's I think some of their bad habits, some of their their deficiencies as a team, and some of the philosophical things that they do that they've executed poorly has come back to kind of haunt them in the last month or so. I think teams have really exploited some of the things that they try to do philosophically. And it's mostly, I guess, because of the poor execution. Like I said, we don't want to challenge what people, what they're trying to do. But you can see where teams are trying to attack Michigan's concepts and their principles. So, it's been a rough month.
And we'll definitely get into that in our film portion of this. And like you said, man, this is when you look at this team, when you talk about expectations early in the season, what did you expect from the team? We said both. We thought this team would be a tournament team with the roster that they put together, right? So a tournament team is a wide range of you can be a one seed all the way down to on the bubble. So being a tournament team, it's a wide range of what type of team you are. And I think early on, this team put some stuff on the film and beat some teams and did some things that made you say, okay, well, this is a high-level team with some talent, and they present some matchup changes. So that achievement of this team made those expectations a little bit greater. But now, as you look at it, 31 games in, the regular season is over. What is the reality of this team? All right. So this still is a talented team. I think Dusty and staff were able to put together a team that was very, very competitive. I think it was unique in the way it was formed. Kind of centered around these two big fellas and 7-footers who are kind of the hub and get a lot of stuff going for these guys. But as you reflect on it, the reality of it is this: I think this team is coming back down to the mean and the median a little bit of what their play probably should have been, and they got a lot of like close wins and and got
Fortunate bounces.
fortunate bounces and luck of the draw. And like you said, some of those poor habits early on are now coming back to really bite them. You didn't expect this team to shoot as poorly as they shot over the last month. I mean, that's an anomaly. I think you got good enough shooters on this team, both as a collective and individually, where you wouldn't expect them to shoot as poorly as they have. But some of those turnover issues, some of the philosophy and execution of defensively and offensively, what they're trying to get across. I think teams now in the Big Ten are really honing in on it and kind of got the recipe and the scouting report on how to slow Michigan down. So now we got to find ways as a team, to get quality shots, quality stops, and then individuals on this team are going to have to step up, and we're going to talk about those guys too.
No, I agree 100%. I think whatever adjustments that are capable of being made, it's time to make them because the teams, I don't want to say they figured Michigan out, but they've definitely caught a beat on like what they're trying to do as far as offensively and defensively. And guys then it becomes about, I think, one, and that doesn't mean that Michigan still can't win. Like everybody knows what everybody's doing, right? But it's about how you compete, how you execute in those moments, how you value the basketball. It becomes about your habits. Once everybody knows what each other's doing, what are your habits, and how much talent do you have? And I think in some areas we don't have the prerequisite talent to be champions in the league like the Big Ten, but it's coming though.
It's coming, and let's be blunt with it. Like, our backcourt has not played up to snuff over the past month. So this is not to say that these guys are not capable. But when you think about Trey Donaldson, Roddy Gale, Namari Burnett, and Reuben Jones, those veteran players, they haven't pulled their end of the bargain as far as what they're capable of doing out there on the court, both offensively and defensively. And and I know, like, you can only go as far as your backcourt and your playmaking ability in that backcourt, both defensively and offensively, will take you to win tournament championships, Big Ten regular season championships, and ultimately NCAA tournament success. You need your guard play to be at a very, very high level, and these guys haven't played well at all, I would say, in the past month, man. What do you think is contributing to that? And what do you think Michigan can do going forward to kind of help these guys play better, man, and just contribute more than they have been?
To your point, right? My dad's coached the game for approaching 40 years now. I've been around it my whole life. Like, nothing's changed. Like, no matter, we love having the 2 7-footers that can play, right? But college is a guards game. Like, it always has been, it always will be. Like, you've had different bigs come through and dominate.
Yeah.
But college is a guards game. And if you want to go deep into March, if you want to go deep into any tournament or any late season type of competition, your guard play needs to be stellar. And right now, our guards, they aren't creating much for themselves or other people. They aren't scoring. They aren't defending well.
Yeah.
The things that are like, we always talk about things that are prerequisite for positional play, right? Whether you're a big man or a guard. I think for our guards, the things that you have to be good at as a, prerequisite: defending, guarding your position, creating for yourself and others, making open shots.
Yeah, just open. Make the open.
Yeah.
Make the open. You ain't gotta make the step backs. You ain't gotta, all that. Just make the ones where we get good offense and it rotates the ball and you can make an open look.
Yep. And leadership, right? And leadership. Those 4 areas we've been pretty weak at over the last, as a guard group, the last 4 to 6 weeks. And I think if they want to, if the season, like we talk about all the time, you can either have 2 games left, or you could have 5 or 6 or 7 games left, right?
Yeah.
It's completely dependent on all of those things we talk about. Your habits. Are you going to step up and lead? Are you going to make shots? Are you going to defend first, right? Like, those things are going to be. You're going to be challenged this time of year, and how you respond to the challenge depends on how many games you have left depends on how you respond to that challenge. Yeah, for sure.
And I think for me, the first challenge for Michigan, they just got to play with a little let me take that. Not a little, a lot more intensity,
Yeah, for
effort
sure.
on the defensive end and attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Once we get into our film study, we'll show you a little bit of this, but it's those execution things and attention to details from the start met with the physicality that you gotta have that sets the tone. And that can't be it can't be because of your shot making or how we're scoring on the other end. That, like you said, that's the prerequisite of being a winner.
Mm-hmm.
You got to come to the game and you got to meet that threshold first and foremost before anything happened. And I think we've been kind of ebbing and flowing. Your defensive effort can't go on runs like your offense. You can't have a
Right.
defensive run where I'm playing very well and then the rest of the game I suck. It can't be like that. You know, so it has to be that has to be the standard of how you play defensively and physicality. And I don't think we've played like that probably since the Purdue game.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Purdue game, I thought we might have established a baseline for how we were going to play defensively and with physicality and intensity, but it hasn't been that, right? It's been
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's because of fatigue, right? The lineup's been shortened with guys being sick, guys being hurt, so that plays
and a
a factor
compressed
into it.
schedule, right?
Yep, compressed schedule with
This is the Michigan stretch where they've playing their compressed schedule against the best
the top,
competition
yeah,
in the Big Ten. So all right,
yeah.
the competition is ramped up. You got the Purdue's, you got the Illinois, you got the Marylands, Michigan State
Mhm.
twice. All of those in the last stretch of these games for
Yeah,
Michigan.
we
So
weren't fortunate enough to have Wisconsin's schedule.
yeah, for
if we
sure,
had if we had Wisconsin's schedule, we'd probably be Big Ten champions right now.
100%.
But it's like you said, it's one thing. I don't know if these guys are fatigued mentally. If I'm pretty sure they are. Everybody is this time of year, right?
Yeah,
But now it's just time for that third season, right within this season. So you gotta recharge your batteries and you gotta ramp things back up. Like I hope they're having extremely physical and intense practices right now leading up to this first Big Ten tournament game.
yeah, it's got to be, and it's got to be led by the players, right? You got to come in and
Mm,
we got to change the dynamic of how this thing is going for us. And first and foremost, with that energy, physicality, and attention to detail, like everything else is going to fall into place from there. But
yeah,
if we can't be connected defensively, and play with energy, effort, and execution, then it's going to be tough for anybody to get their offensive game going. We can't be like, all right, if we start making shots, now we can lock in on boxing out, getting rebounds, bullying through screens, staying connected, keeping people in front of us on dribble penetration. Like that has to be what you hang your hat on now, and then that other stuff will fall.
yeah. How
But
many
this
E's is it? Is it 3 E's or 5 E's?
energy,
Energy, effort,
execution,
enthusiasm. Is that
enthusiasm.
is one
What's
more?
the
We
extra
missing
E?
another. We missing it's 5 E's. I can't remember, but it's definitely some E's that's important to winning games this time of year. We need all of them.
We need all of them. We need all of them. But to wrap this conversation up right here, man, just all right. Dusty May, first year,
Mhm.
expectations, achievement, reality. What is your grade for this regular season? Just the regular season. We still got postseason. These dudes can go on a run and do whatever. What's your grade for this regular season? Thinking about these expectations, achievement, and the reality of where this team is right now. Basically tied for second place in the Big Ten. What's your grade for this team?
So there's two parts to me, right? I look at it through two lenses, right?
Yeah.
From a former player and a fan and a supporter lens, I give it an A, right?
Yeah.
You given all its factors and I give it an A, right? But from a coaching perspective, I give it like a B plus, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's things that they could philosophically that they could be doing different that would clean up some of these deficiencies that they have or cover up some of these deficiencies, right? Like I'm not a big fan of the drop coverage, right? Everybody, I know that you want to play the analytics and force guys into shooting mid-range jump shots, but how many times do you really force a guy to take a mid-range jump shot that he doesn't want to take in those situations, right?
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
of the time, a lot of those guys get to that, they work on that shot. So, and then why? So, like, I'm not a big fan of that. And we've seen guys of Danny Wolf's and Vlad Golden's level of athletic ability. We've seen them hedge hard and do different coverages on ball screens for generations now, right?
Yeah.
So to say that, we can only play one way, or to show they're only capable of playing one way on ball screens, that was a bit disappointing to me, right? As a competitor and as a guy that aspires to be a coach. And it's a couple other things, philosophy, that I don't necessarily agree with, but I don't know if it's that they don't work or there was just poor execution by the. I tend to lean to more being poor execution of the philosophy by the players, right? So
Yeah. Because any philosophy you have a coach, whether you down in every ball screen, we are no middle defense, we're a gap heavy defense. Like it's certain
execute.
things that you got to execute. The philosophy is different. So the switching everything and the drop coverage and the way we play on that, the philosophy is different for every coach, but you got to execute those different details and parameters. And I think down the stretch of this season, whether due to fatigue, mental, otherwise, shortened bench, we didn't execute the way you have to execute if this is going to be your defensive
and if you see that that's like a deficiency of yours, that you're not able to execute that at a high enough level, right? I think you should make changes, right? That's just my opinion, right? And you can't make changes in the game. It has to be something that you start practicing at a certain point where you say, hey, like this might be a issue for us going forward. We need to start working on something else.
And that's the tough part about it. Like once you get into the season, it's like, okay, we got what we got in our toolbox from leading up to it. We've been adding incrementally, but can we add something new drastically and our guys be good at it? With a veteran team, you hope that you can add different wrinkles to your defense and those guys can execute. But then for Michigan down the stretch, I'm sure that practice schedule was so compressed and compact that they wanted to be very, very efficient with practice. And when you're installing new defenses or adding different wrinkles to your offense, sometimes
time consuming.
It's time consuming, it's energy consuming, and when you got injuries and sickness and all of that other stuff going through your roster, you got to say, hey, maybe we just got to stick to what we do and really try to execute well. And unfortunately, they weren't able to.
I get that, but then you get the results you get, though, right? You gotta be willing to do the hard stuff. You definitely gotta be willing. You gotta be willing to do the hard stuff. Yeah, it may take a little bit more time. Yeah, it may push guys' boundaries as far as what they're mentally capable of, right? But at the same time, if you want to get to where you want to get to, you got to kind of make those adjustments and force guys to try. I know, like we always talk about, and I hate comparing coaches, right? But you see some coaches and they from one game to the next within the tournament, they running different stuff, right? So they've challenged their players to be able to, consume this information, process it, and be able to execute it in a short period of time and have some carryover from practice to the games to where this stuff is effective. So I'm not saying you gotta go NBA with it, where you just
that's what you do in the league, man. You don't practice nothing. You come in there for shoot around, and you got a totally different defensive game plan depending on who you playing. How we gonna guard Jokic? How we gonna guard SGA? How we gonna guard? And you don't get no practice time. That's league level stuff.
But those guys have they've played a lot of basketball or a ton of basketball, right? And I think with this team, we have guys who've been in college 2-3 years. We should be able to do some of that, right?
You got some grads. This is a veteran team too. Like you don't have the depth, but the guys who play have been in college 3-4 years. Some fifth year guys. So you should be able to, like you say, have the basketball chops to be able to execute some of that stuff on the fly and not look like it's the first time I did it and my head is spinning. But for me, to wrap it up, man, as far as this season, I kind of agree with you, man. I think, B+ as far as what this team has done. Expectations coming in, I thought when I saw this team early on in the preseason, I said, they got the tools to be a tournament team. And they were able to overcome, the turnover woes. They were able to squeak out, a lot of close games and put themselves over the hump as far as winning those games. If some of those games fall the other way, season looks different. But I still do think, for Dusty first year coming in, this is a B+ to be tied for second in the Big Ten. And really, if you win one of those games down the stretch, you have an opportunity to win the Big Ten.
With a share of it, right?
With a share of it, right? From going from what we were last year, 3-17, to second place in the Big Ten and a total revamp of roster, culture, all of that stuff. B+ for these guys, but you would just hope that some of those other things you saw down the stretch wouldn't happen. They got an opportunity to rectify it, man. So
Yeah, they learn some
And
valuable lessons.
they
Learn
learned some valuable
some
lessons.
rivalry lessons. They learn some like all of those games. Michigan State, Illinois, Purdue. Those are those are big time rivalries for Michigan in basketball in this conference, right? Not like an Ohio State rivalry in football, but more so like these are basketball schools that have good tradition and they have a history of battling and playing tough games and challenging Michigan for Big Ten championships
Yeah.
and making it to the turn. All of that. So these are good programs and great coaches that we faced the last 5-6 games of the season as well. So
Oh yeah, they should be battle tested
yes,
100%. So if there's anybody who can turn this, any team that can turn this around with the type of, like you say, competition they played, the kind of the one game elimination mentality, because being in that hunt for Big Ten titles, so every game was a pressure game, every game meant something to them. So they should be ready for it if they can recharge and kind of recalibrate that mentality and
yep,
that focus. I think Michigan is a team that can turn it around and flip it. But individually, we got to have some guys that play better, man. So
for sure.
with that, man, let's get into this film and bring that up so we can really kind of highlight some of these things that these guys need to do better, need to execute better.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's we're gonna go back to the Illinois game and kind of cover some. I think we skipped the Maryland game, but man, you'll see in some of these clips, it's just not. It's very not. It's not good execution, right? Whether it's a guy falling asleep or poor communication or just not even being in the right position to execute the coverage. The execution of the philosophy or the scheme what was very poor, whether it was a mental lapse or a guy falling asleep or whatever, or just not being right positionally, right? These guys have a lot of work to do to clean up some of the things that we saw if they want to be, if they want to be successful this third season. So we'll get into it right here with this
Yep.
early in this Illinois game, right? Just off the inbounds, basic baseline out of bounds play early in the game, right here. Guard to guard screen here between Gale and Case's man, right? And being a rookie, Cason is kind of anticipating this guy coming out the top side, right, of the screen, and he just dives down the middle, right? He just dives down the middle. And I'm pretty sure, like when you're putting in your baseline out of bounds plays, and like, hey, if they play this way, if they switch it, hey, do this.
Yeah, this is the
That's a
counter to it,
yeah,
right?
it's
So
a
you
counter
got to
to it.
and as a freshman, everybody's been clamoring and wanting Kaysen to play more, and maybe he probably should have earlier in this season so he can get some of these execution things out of his system. But when you look at stuff like this, these are some of the reasons why when you say, why hasn't the coach played him? Like he can play offensively, he can get buckets, he can get downhill. But when you see 6 or 7 of these type plays on defense, when you're
Yeah,
watching film, as a coach, that lends you to be like, all right, let's put the veteran guy in the game
yeah.
because we can't have 6 or 7 of these. But
You
unfortunately
lose a
for
little bit
Michigan,
of
as you
trust.
see as this rolls, you got to build that trust defensively. And Kaysen
Yeah.
hasn't been able to do that so far.
High ball screen, right? We don't make him use the screen. So the best coverage killer for any ball screen coverage is letting the guy reject the coverage, right?
Yeah.
And so he doesn't force him to the ball screen for the drop coverage. He allows him to reject it, kills the coverage. Right now we all messed up.
Yeah. So you
Right.
get an emergency peel off switch, and Chatter, because he's in drop, is not in a position to even go challenge that. And that's just, like you said, poor execution, right? The philosophy is they want to get in drop, but you got to execute it properly.
Yep. Gotta make the guy use the screen and bully him over the top. Right. Just again, because we switch everything so much, he's anticipating some sort of guard to guard switch action and he just slips it. Falls asleep, lay up at the rim.
Yeah.
Right. Again, because we switch everything. And I don't know if we switch to deny or we switch up or so the guy doesn't catch your airspace, or we switch flat. I don't know we're not in practice every day, so I don't know what the principles are. But I know it's not to jump out here flat footed and get back cut.
Yeah. And in that situation, it wasn't a switch. So if you're switching, you switch, but Reuben Jones is not switching. So typically when I see them and they play, it's like the low man is going to stay low and the high guy is going to take whoever stays high. So like you said, this is philosophy wise. Okay, yes, if that's your philosophy, now we got to execute. We can't have one guy switching and one guy not switching. And that's where you get stuff like this. So just that execution piece of this stuff has really, really been waning down the stretch, and we have to pick that up defensively.
If they're going to switch this, Reuben has to catch the cutter.
He got to catch the cutter. He got to catch the guy coming low, and then Amari is taking anybody who stays high. So whether he comes up high to the wing or he stays out there near that corner area, he's going to surge to him. But you can't have two guys taking a guy up high and nobody protecting the basket.
Yep. Again, just poor ball screen.
Yeah.
Like, I would go under that. He's not going to shoot from out there.
Yeah, you got to go under that. At the logo, go under it. He's trying to, but now he rolls them under. And at this point, you beat.
Yeah, you got to stay with the big guy.
You got to stay with the big guy. You can't now put two people on the ball because you've been screened and cracked, and nobody's there to help. You know, Namari is hugged up on the weak side, looking at some type of action. But if you're Reuben Jones, you can't just emergency peel out of there because
there's no action. He's just hugging.
Yeah, he's just hugged up. So poor execution, right? On all of these things that leads to the momentum of your team just getting down because you can't get consecutive stops.
And this action we talked about is another concept that teams are using to attack Michigan's ball screen coverage, where they're hitting the big and chasing it, right?
Hitting the big, chasing,
then rescreening, right?
Because you can go under the first. Is he chased it good? Roddy Gale goes under the first. But now everybody's rule, if it is a rescreen, it's hard to go under it twice. So you got to go over it. So now he's creating an advantage off the rescreen and chase action. And now you got Vlad in your drop. And when you got a big like Tom Isevich who can shoot, the drop coverage is a tough coverage to be in because that guy can step out and make that shot.
Now you got 2-on-1 on the backside against Donaldson, who does a good job of closing out. When the guy is that big, you're too late.
Yeah, you're too late.
Right zone right here. Like, what are we doing? What defense are we in? Right? I don't know if it was zone, if we were switching, but it leads to poor matchups or poor blockouts. Watch the guy. Like, who blocked out anybody right here, Chris, on the shot goes? Who's hitting somebody?
Nobody's hitting anybody, and both of these guys in a poor position.
Trey hit a guy in the back.
Trying to nudge him in the back, but it's still a bigger guy against a smaller guy.
Yeah.
And it just puts you in some tough situation to be able to rebound out of these scramble mismatch situations.
Like I say, everybody wants the freshman to play more, right?
But look at him right there.
Everybody
all watching, no block out.
Right. Like, I'm not trying to pick on him, right? Because I think he's going to be a really good player in this league
for sure.
in Michigan. But like you said, when you want more minutes, you can't. Like the occasional layup and 3-pointer looks good, but these are the things the coaches see
when they watch the film. Yeah. You make 2 layups, but you gave up 8 blockouts, or you got blown by 6 times. Like
right, what defense are we playing again? Right, it looks like everybody's playing one defense, and then another guy's denying. Right, because if you're going to deny, that means people are going to be in help behind you in case you get back cut. Right here, we jump out to now. I don't know if we just deny the top of the circle, so we deny ball reversals.
Yeah,
maybe that's it. But like, come on, man.
And this is like you said,
we're not. We playing?
Yeah, and we're not picking on people, but we gonna keep it 100. Like the defense from Trey Donaldson has been very, very subpar, especially this last month. Like that's not prime effort, man. Like you hopping around in the gap and you get back cut so easily. It's just not good effort. And you'll see more clips on him just kind of not playing the type of defense you need to play as a starting lead guard for a Big Ten championship contending team. Like you got to have much more execution and effort that I've seen out of him.
You're the tip of the spear. The offense starts with you. The defense starts with you. So you gotta set the tone. You have to set the tone, right? So right here, we're already in a poor matchup, right? Vlad is on the guard. He gets blown off the ball, and that really starts the. He gets blown off the dribble. That really starts. That puts us in rotations, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now you got a freshman and other guys rotating, right? Give a one open shot. Now look, right when the shot goes up, this is much better than what we saw the last time we paused it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, we got all 5 guys on the inside. Like that can't happen.
Can't happen. Like, yeah. You got to win those battles. Like, even if you shorter, you're not as big as another guy, you got inside position. So you got to do a good job of hitting guys, blocking them out, moving your feet, and they got to jump over your back to get this ball. Like, both of these guys, Roddy and Trey, on this side didn't do a good job of boxing out at all. They're looking inside position. You got to get this rebound if he misses.
Freshman as well. This is where the physicality of this league comes into play, right? Of basketball, period. A 3-point shot with guys crashing from the 3-point line to go get offense is probably one of the most physical moments in the basketball game. That's where you go have some of the most genuine contact. And you gotta like in this conference, you gotta be ready for those moments. You gotta want to be in those moments, right? Like look at these perimeter blockouts. Right, 3 guys touch that ball. 3 guys touch that ball, man. Like it has to mean more. Don't tell me you want to win. Show me you want to win.
Show me.
Right, what defense are we playing right here? A good teammate and friend of ours, Bernard Robinson. We went back and forth a little bit about if this was a 2-3 or a 3-2. I don't know what it is, but I know whatever defense they're playing, the bottom guy is not supposed to be in a 2-on-1 predicament before the play even starts.
So, yeah, it's like
and then
they're disadvantage already before it even starts. So if you're matching up or you're in a 2-3 or 3-2, like whatever execution wise, I'm sure the coaches are not saying, "Hey man, make sure we get in this 2-on-1 situation on the strong side of the ball right away."
Right. They haven't even got to their play good and it's already overload. He just made one pass and one pass shot. Right. So now this is a good situation, right? We got to switch. Right now we got to like I would be fine with that switch if I'm the coach. Like, okay, we got Trey on the ball handling guard, even though he's bigger. I like Trey's chances of getting under this guy, making him work and keeping him out of the lane.
Yeah.
Right. But you basically get work pretty good right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's you gotta have more effort in that situation, right? Again, guy catches the ball. He's at half court right here, Chris.
Half court.
He's at half court. And he's gonna get all the way to the rim.
With just a simple hesitate, not even, he didn't even have to get into his bag. Just a hesitation blow by.
Hey, if we give these up, it will be a short march. Or it'll be a short NCAA tournament appearance.
Yeah.
Because when we get to the NCAA tournament, every team we play are going to have guards that's going to be able to do that. That's why they're in the tournament.
That's why they're in the tournament. And these are the things, and these are the things you look at on film. When you're a coach, you say, okay, we're missing shots, right? Everybody want to talk about the poor shooting and even the rebounding. It's kind of obvious. But some of these things that we're showing you on film today are the things that really set the tone for all of that, right? So if you're not containing the ball and you can't get defensive stops the way you need to and execute, it leads to everything else cascading in a negative way for you. Your shooting, your defensive rebounding, all of that stuff, if you're not containing the ball and executing like you're supposed to.
Yeah, bad defense definitely affects your offense for sure. Right? Another good switch, guard to guard. Right? But now we switch again, and now we're in a bad matchup. And we talked about this one during our preview leading up to the Illinois, that this kid has a mean, what you call it, an anchor step.
An anchor step, man, where he can really plant that foot and change directions, kind of like Luka Doncic. All these Europeans kind of have that. Was really efficient. He can take you one way and change and get downhill really efficiently with his size and strength and athleticism.
Yep, and we've watched him do this to guards on film all year. So you get him matched up against Cheddar in this situation, going to his strong hand. That's a bad matchup, right? Nobody steps in to help. There's no help in the gap, which is you got 2 freshmen in the game, 3 freshmen in the game. One of them
Mhm.
chases his man back. He's not even looking. The other one is not. He doesn't have 2 feet in the paint, and he's 2 passes away. So you give up a layup, right? Those are all things like when you
Yeah.
that's that when you have 3 freshmen on the floor, those are the type of things that we've been there before as
Yeah.
freshmen who played a lot of minutes, right? We gave up a lot of those buckets, but it just so happened we weren't in the conference championship race at the time,
Yeah.
right? So
So
it,
I
it
mean that's a credit to Michigan, right? They're in a
yep,
position where they're in a conference championship race. So credit to them. But when you watch the film, you look at these things and okay, now I can see why
yep,
the
yep,
games are not going the way they should go because these execution points are just not there, and they have to be on point if you want to win at a high level.
yep. We'll go through some of these Michigan State clips. I'm uh, just some of these Trey Holloman and Jace Richardson buckets just to show like these are 2 dynamic guards. We're going to face dynamic guards from here on out, right? And whether we play Purdue next first game in the Big Ten tournament or whoever we play, it's going to be dynamic guards
Yeah.
from here on out. We got to be able to guard these guys, right? They get into a little zoom action, like if right here, right? So as a coach, you kind of try to freeze it and see like where did the breakdown come. So when we
Mm-hmm.
get right here, you would think, okay, he's fighting to get back in top. Danny showed a little help. Namari helped, but once again, the details matter, right? Because Namari's feet are not facing the right because his right foot isn't up higher than his left foot in the gap.
Yeah.
He has to flip his hips too many times to get back to this guy, and the same is going to happen with
With Ruben
Jones.
Jones there, yeah.
Yeah, so when you got to flip your hips that many times against good guards, you're going to get beat. And it doesn't look like that, and you don't need a whole lot of space to do it, right? So we're looking at this. These guys flip their hips both once or twice, and now we're in rotations. You give up open look because you get beat out. You give up penetration.
Yeah. I mean, and credit to Michigan State. I mean, it's good attacking offense,
Mm-hmm.
attacking gaps, drawing 2 defenders, hitting the open defender and playing off closeouts. And that's what good teams do. But like you said, the execution of the footwork and defensively, if you want to be a great team and a really good team who's going to run, you gotta execute that stuff.
Like, see, look at these guys right here. I know it's action, but you guys got to have a foot, at least a foot in the paint, right? Danny's at right, like how Danny is. That's how Namari should have been in the gap the previous play. That right foot up, I can still help and get my body in front of you, but it's just a forward run to close out to my guy. I don't have to flip my hips then run and close out,
Yeah,
right?
that half a second matters. If you flipping your hip, it matters if you getting there and containing the ball.
Right. So these guys need to be more in the paint, right? And because they're not with our drop coverage, right? He basically gets another workout jumper. Like you said before, we switching on the backs on the strong side of the play as well,
And
right?
what that switching does is get you detached
When you
from that
start
ball
switching
handle.
like Spider-Man, you're
You point
detached.
switching, yeah. You
Yeah.
point here, point there, and like you say, philosophy wise, if you want to switch, yes, but you got to execute and you got to be able to get
Those
attached
guys
to
got to
those
come
guys.
together.
You
Yeah.
got to come together and stay attached because now Kaysen, he's already at a disadvantage because he's 5 feet away from the guy who's about to receive a dribble handoff, and if you let it roll, he's
Get cracked.
detached, and that allows the screener to crack him, and now you done. You
And
crack, you falling on the ground. Vlad has to play too, and Trey
you remember
Holloman has been
against Purdue when Trey hit Buddy, I say he was out for a second.
yeah.
Hey, hey, Casey was asleep for right there for a
Yeah,
second.
he got cracked, and that's a heck of a screen. And now you playing 2, and Trey Holloman has been really boogieing since our game. We
Yeah,
let him get his entire swag up and back in our game, the first game, and now he's been playing extremely well. And that's a
for
shot that
sure.
he's been taking and making, but poor
Right?
execution to start.
Turnover,
Live ball
which
turnover.
has obviously been an issue of ours, right? But here they don't even run anything. It's just like that action we talked about, the chase action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boom, hits the big, chases it, gets downhill, puts us in rotations, and then he gets it back. Like it's good basketball on their part, but it's also poor defense on our part, right? Those
Yeah.
are things that could have been avoided. Drop coverage puts us in rotations. Like how much easier can basketball get, right? It's not you just set a high ball screen, allow my guard to attack a guy that's much slower than him.
Yeah.
Because
That's the advantage you want. He get downhill. We're drawing two defenders. And then if you look at, from the possessions to start, you got Vlad on Holloman. So what is his natural instincts on this?
to
I'm
walk to
going
the
to
paint and
I'm
help.
going to the paint to help.
Yeah,
And in this situation, if you're that defender, that's not your help. That's really the low man's help if he get beat, which
that's
is
Pippin's
Pippen.
help. Yeah.
And Vlad has to be the one who rotates out of that. So you get in those bad matchup situations, and now his instincts kick
That's
in,
ridiculous.
and there's nobody there to rotate out. And that's what happens when you get in all of these kind of disadvantaged matchup situations where people guarding folks in areas that they're not necessarily comfortable with.
And the young boy got to be some sort of communication, right? And it's hard to leave because if you leave, you just go drop it to him for a dunk.
Yeah.
But it's just poor defense all the way around, man. You gotta. Holloman has a swag going, but to be honest, with the shots that we've seen him make, you don't even have to be good to make those shots.
Yeah. I mean, that's wide open. That's drill shot. That's like you on a gun
Yeah.
right there. Nobody in the ball coming right from the middle of the paint, and you knocking it down.
All right, now drop coverage again. Got a bad matchup with Cheddar on him. So look, we go from. So we talked about the pre-show. All right, we already have a bad matchup right here. It's a bad matchup. So they go to a ball screen into a worse matchup. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how much I like that, right? And he's just able to get into a workout quality jump shot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Vlad got a hand up, but I'm telling you, for good guards, this space right here, that's too much space.
Yeah. And it's tough. Like with Sam Walters being out, that extra 3-4 man who can be a wing player, wing shot maker.
Hmm.
So, the depth for Michigan really has been hurting them as of late. We've been trying to play that three big lineup with kind of Danny as the pseudo small forward
Yeah.
and Will Cheddar and Vlad at the 4 and 5. Defensively, that's a tough lineup to execute against good offense. Offensively, it may give you some things, but defensively, that's been a tough lineup for us.
And we haven't rebounded as good as I thought we would out of that lineup either. We should out of that lineup either. So,
Yeah,
come on, man. This is guard to guard right here. This is not even a challenging concept. This is basically guard to guard. I know he's not a guard, but that's a guard guarding him.
yeah.
He
So
attacked his outside hip like he was a big man.
like he's a big man. You can't get whooped if you switching. You can't get whooped like a guard to guard switch. You can't get whooped off the dribble. Yeah, where he's just attacking your outside hip and getting downhill.
Right? Like, once again, we're in zone, but I always ask what defense we're in because I don't think any defense calls for a guy to be wide open. And this is where, when you look at this one, this is where, like, is it a 2-3 or a 3-2? It looks like it may be a 2-3 with the wings extended. I'm not sure, but I've never seen a zone defense where the wing guys play this high. What you said it looked like a four four
It looked
out
like
one in
like a
defense.
4 round one zone. And a lot like you just got Vlad standing at the charge circle and you got the 4 guys on the perimeter navigating all that stuff. I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
wish
Or
I
maybe
could
trying to play the 2-3 the way Syracuse played it back in the day with Hakeem Warwick and Carmelo Anthony. But those guys were extremely long and athletic to be able to play that zone that way. What was the other guy they had named, the African guy that was really long and athletic too, played the guard as well. They had 3-4 guys that was
Dwayne. You talking about Quest Dwayne?
Clef Dwayne.
Dwayne, yeah, they had length.
Yeah, they had length, bro. We Danny's great size for a wing, but he doesn't have the athleticism to go back and forth and cover a lot of areas. So I hey, I don't know. Right there. If that's a 2-3 or whatever it is, he has to bump him off so he can get to the corner. Because obviously Vlad's not coming out. or Vlad has to go with him and Danny comes across the lane. I don't know what the principles are, what the rules are, but it's poor execution.
Yeah, it's poor. And typically, like if you're that opposite wing guy and you see nobody in your vicinity and you see an overload going to the corner, then you just go with that guy.
Yeah.
Those are like zone principles when you have an overload like that. If you're a wing guy and you see nobody in 20 feet of you that you can guard, then you got to flow with that guy who's overloading that side. So it's really Danny's job to see that and go with him. And now we abort and we got to match up because they've overloaded, distorted our zone, and I have nobody within 20 feet that I can guard. So I got to go with this guy. So like you said,
if he
whatever.
does go with him, it is a 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could be different. Everybody has different rules to it. So I don't know what they're calling it, 3-2-2-3. But anytime you ain't got nobody in your vicinity that you can guard in the zone, you should be flowing with that guy who's overloading. And I'm sure the coaches are coaching that. I'm sure this is not what they want to happen in this. But like you say, poor execution. It's the difference between, what your philosophy is and then how well these guys can execute it on the fly.
Right. And that's why I questioned earlier, like when Trey was denying against Illinois and the guy went backdoor. Like I'm trying to figure out, do we deny in our man defense or do we only deny the center, the circle, top of the circle to deny ball reversals? Because it does seem like everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. And here it is. We allow, a ball reversal through the center circle where we saw guys denying previously. Right. So I don't know if, what the principle is there. But right here, like, come on, Trey.
Yeah, like if you're gonna deny, you got to be body denial. Like this is such an easy play because Vlad has no pressure on the ball handler or the passer, and Trey is not in the body line to be able to even, like in normal defense, you want to have body line denial.
Look at the weak side.
And then the weak side is hugged up. You got a bad matchup with Namari on the bigger guy, so he's trying to battle that and not come over, and you get dunked on. But Trey is just bad defense. It's bad defense.
Needs to be head under the rim.
Yeah, the ball is 3 passes away from you, at least 2 passes away from you. So you need to be moving towards that ball. It should be a magnet towards the ball, and these guys are hugged up. So just poor execution, man. And then Trey just on this back cut is like you hopping around, you're in the gap, you're not body line, and these are easy buckets. You're already down, 18 in this clip? So this is just another easy bucket that you just can't give up if you're trying to make a run getting back into the game.
It looks that's their both of these Michigan players are in the positions your managers will be in when you're working on making backdoor passes to get warmed up for practice.
You say they're out here playing dummy defense is what you're saying?
Like that's the position the managers will be in just to give you a good look.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a bad possession. But once again, when you want guys to play more, when people call for guys to play more, right? Danny keeps them square.
Keeps them square. You can't help strong side. He doesn't even have an advantage. Like he's on his hip. If Jaden Akins makes a running hook with his right hand away from the basket, then you shake his hand.
Over
a 7-footer, you shake his hand. But these are the execution things. Even if Jace Richardson tripped and fell down over there, like you're not helping off the strong side corner when the guy has no advantage, and you give up a wide open 3. When you cut the game, crucial. You cut it to 11. You cut it to 11. So if you get a stop there, you go down, you score. Now it's single digits, and now we in business. But that's what you say. You want to play the freshmen more. You want to play guys and get guys more minutes. These are mistakes that really, really hurt you in the games. With 9 minutes left,
for the okie doke freshman.
With 9 minutes left, and you can cut it to a single possession, single digit game.
Yeah,
you can't make this mistake.
Hey, you see him trip over the ref and he hurt and he limping. You know you're not supposed to leave him. Go step on his foot.
The game, right?
Yeah, go do something else, but don't do this.
Don't do this. Don't help strong side corner.
Yeah, don't do that. Like, let's we're next up. I just don't know what type of defense we're playing. Like, watch Danny. Like, I'm not saying you gotta get up there and pressure him. I know you're 7 feet tall, but you're just walking right here.
Yeah,
I know the guy's going away from the basket, but just your posture and your defensive demeanor doesn't look like you're geared to get a stop right here. You might be tired. I don't know what's going on. Right, guard to guards action. Hey man, you cannot, like, sometimes you take your hat off to a guy, right, and say, hey, that's a big time shot, big time play, right? Sometimes the offensive player just makes a great shot. But only reason why I say I wouldn't say that here because you let him get to his strong hand.
Yeah.
Right. You know he's left-handed. Like, what are you going
He's
for that?
beat right now.
Yeah.
You see how that top foot goes up, so it's undisciplined defense, right?
Yep.
He's beat right now because now he got him lunging at him with his top foot, and he does a good job of attacking it. And now you beat because you got to open your hips up,
Flip them hips.
flip them hips, and you done.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's there's some things that they have to clean up. And if it's the philosophy isn't gonna change, those guys really gotta reach down deep and take on the challenge of guarding people and executing these principles correctly. If we're gonna switch everything, we gotta come shoulder to shoulder as defenders and not let guys cut between us or cut in front of our faces. Or if we're gonna switch, we gotta be tough enough to block out when we get cross matchups,
Yeah.
right? All these things we have to improve on going into this third season. This is the season where it's no guarantees, right? You lose, you go home.
Yeah, you
Right?
lose, you
Big
go
Ten
home.
tournament, you
Yeah.
lose, you go home. NCAA tournament, you lose, you go home. So, like, I've been on teams where we gave up a offensive rebound and then put back to lose a game before, right? That's a horrible way to lose. And I think I'm not saying that's going to happen, but all of these things are on the table when you don't execute and when you don't embrace the physical aspects of the game at this time of year. So
Yeah. And they'll say to us, Daniel, why y'all being so negative right now, man? We third in the Big Ten tie for second. But this is what you see as a coach, things you need to improve on. So it's not the negativity, right? But when you look at it, we have to execute these things better because these are the things that are going to help us win. Take the shooting aspect out of it, right? Take the turnover aspect out of it. If you can lock in on these things, I think it'll give you the right energy on both ends of the ball. That stuff will start happening and shots will start falling. You know what I'm saying? The turnovers are stopped because we're getting stops and we're pushing and we're playing in the flow. You can't get stops. You can't get defensive rebounds. Then Michigan can't play to their ceiling, right? Their ceiling is high. But if you can't execute defensively and get rebounds, then they can't play to their ceiling because they can really play when they're out flowing and playing fast. But if we're trying to, be in half court the whole game and break people off the dribble, I don't know if we have the roster right now to be able to do that at the highest level.
No. And early in the season, they were getting stops, right? When I told you, I was like, man, this team a little better on defense, and I thought they were going to be, coming into the year, and they were able to get stops and get out and run, which creates more possessions, right, for a team like Michigan that doesn't have a lot of playmakers or shot creators. More possessions is a good thing, right? That way they can get into your stuff and create more shots. So it's one of the things, man. Like if they can clean up something, and it's not the offensive rebounding and the turnovers are major issues, but some of these issues as far as guarding the ball, being assignment discipline, game plan discipline, that's a pride thing. That's a pride and a toughness thing. That's not anything that I got to get taller by next week. My game has to improve by next game. It doesn't. I just have to be locked in mentally to do some of the things they have to do better, and that's a good place to be. Where they're saying, "Hey, man, we got to get some guys in here, some 7-footers in here that you're not gonna grow between now and Friday.
You're not going to grow." and that toughness piece is key that you're talking about. And it's like when people say toughness, it's not always like hitting somebody, right? Or being the strongest fit. It's the mental toughness, like you said, to be able to execute the game plan and stay locked in. How tough can I be mentally when I'm a little bit fatigued, right? How tough can I be mentally when I just missed my last 2 open threes, but I got to take the next one, and I got to get my butt back on defense and still play at a high level. So that's when people talk about toughness, it ain't like, all right, I'm going to go out here and knock somebody on their head. Yes, that's part of it. But in those moments where you got a little doubt or it's not going your way, how tough can I be to execute the game plan and play with energy and effort and do everything I need to do to help my team win. That's what toughness is when we describe that, man.
Am I tough enough to give multiple efforts on defense? Am I tough enough to crash the offensive glass when it's my turn to go? Or am I tough enough to know to be mentally locked in and know it ain't my turn to go to the glass? I need to get my butt back on defense, right?
Exactly.
Like all these little things are like you don't want I don't want to take these 2-3 steps to be the first guy back on defense. I'm gonna just stand here and watch or walk to the no. Have the mental toughness and discipline. So when you see my teammate raise up to shoot the ball, I know I got to get back.
I got to get back.
Like,
I can't crash.
Yep.
I see my point guard laying it up under the rim and falling down. If I'm the off guard, I got to get back. I can't be running in there. No, I got to get back because if he miss it, nobody's back. So those are, like you said, those are the mental toughness. When we talk about toughness, it ain't going out there fighting and scrapping. That's part of it. But all of those little details when you're a player is the things that really, really matter for you to be able to reach the heights that you want to reach and win the games that you want to win. And unfortunately for Michigan, that hasn't been the case over this last stretch. So hopefully with this, like you say, this reset, a little time off, a little extra practice time, they can get back to some of those fundamentals, some of those basic, and really lock into that.
Yeah, when you tired, man, it's hard to take them two extra steps to come shoulder to shoulder so you can execute this switch concept properly, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes them 2-3 extra steps where you've been run up and down, so that's where the mental toughness comes in. So I mean, I agree with you said with everything you're saying 100%.
Let's get to our Big Ten tournament predictions right now. When you look at where Michigan at on the bracket, they got Purdue on their side of the bracket, they got Illinois, they got Maryland, they got Rutgers as all kind of potential people that they can play. What do you see this going with them, man? How far can they go with this? Can they have a rematch with Michigan State on the other side if they get there in the championship game?
If they play like they've played the last 2, 3, 4 weeks now, it'll be over quick. And that's me being objectively honest, right?
Yeah.
If they don't play better than they've played the last 2, 3 games, they're gonna get beat again, right? It's gonna be Illinois or Purdue or somebody gonna get, and it won't be close again, right? Because these teams present unique matchups for Michigan, right? They have the size they can match up with Golden as far as Evicic with Illinois. They have the guard play to make a difference. So these are not those two to Illinois and Purdue and Maryland. Those probably, to be honest, are the 3 worst matchups for Michigan in this tournament right now, besides Michigan State, right?
Yeah, and if I look at it, out of those, I probably think Purdue is probably the team you maybe want to play.
Yeah, you want to play, yeah.
Because they don't have the size at the guard and wing positions that present those challenges. So maybe you can, I think that's a better matchup. They're good as well, but they don't have just the size and strength and athleticism on the wing that some of these other teams have. But like you said, if they continue to play like they have been playing as far as defensively and not rebounding execution, it's going to be tough. But they got an opportunity to change it, man. They got an opportunity to do it all just in front of them. And I think, the stuff that we talked about is the stuff that has to change, and it has to change immediately. Immediately. No delay. It got to change, man.
Yeah, no, I think those two, Illinois, outside of Michigan State, Illinois and Maryland probably present the most problems for Michigan out of the rest of the team. Who's on the other side? Michigan State and who else?
Michigan State, you got Wisconsin over there.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Wisconsin.
Okay.
Nah, I think, Maryland and Illinois present real matchup problems for Michigan. And
they're both on our side of the bracket. So
so that's going to make it tough.
Yeah, but it's time to step up, man. This is a fun time. Tournament time is always fun. Sometimes just getting out of that city, going to a new city, seeing all of the stuff around you, man, seeing the logos all over Indianapolis, going to the hotel, eating, going out to, restaurants and stuff like that. It gives you a new life, a new energy to you, and you're able to spark and change that. And all you need is, you need one game, man. One game, one play, one player to really step up, his level of execution. And, I've seen, speaking about, people on our roster, Roddy Gale. I mean, a couple years ago with Ohio State, when they were fighting and clawing, they had to win the Big Ten tournament to even have a chance of getting into the tournament. Ohio State and Roddy Gale in particularly had a great stretch in the Big Ten tournament where they were playing very, very well. He was playing well, and they got, almost to that championship game to put themselves in position to get a tournament bid. So it's there. We just need guys to step up, and I'm sure these guys will be up to the task. I'm sure the coaching staff will have these guys ready to compete.
Yeah.
But it's up to them to go out there and execute, with mental toughness and go out there and do it.
No, I agree.
All right. So let's move on, man, to our last topic of today, man. What we call it? We call it Logo Gate.
Logo Gate.
Logo Gate. The Michigan logo incident at the end of this game. I'm sure everybody who would be watching this podcast is fully aware of what happened and what went down, man. So just give me your thoughts initially on viewing it and kind of hearing some of the chatter and stuff that's been going on since that event.
Man, don't ask me nothing about Michigan State. I don't know nothing. Say, bro, before that incident, I didn't even know it was a tradition, right? First of all, when we played at the President a couple of times, we was getting beat so bad, and it wasn't senior night either. So it was a different dynamic. I don't remember what happened at the end of the game as far as anybody kissing the logo. So I never knew that was a tradition of theirs. Second of all, I don't care, right? Like if that's a tradition of yours, that logo takes up 2/3 of the court. You can find a piece of that ugly Spartan helmet to go kiss, right? If you can't find something, I got something else you can kiss. Nah, but seriously though, but I do also think that the players from Michigan knew what they were doing too, right?
Yeah, like, they knew what they were doing. Like even and Dusty alluded to it a little bit in his the day after press conference that the referees came up to him and said, "Hey, senior night, Michigan State is going to do this whole kiss the logo." Thing before they go out. It's gonna be a little fanfare ceremony for him. So definitely, and you talking about Fat bro, he from Michigan. I'm sure he knows a little bit about that. And they were standing, trying to stand on business a little bit.
Yeah, they standing next to each other. How many times have y'all stood directly next to each other at half court?
At half court,
or during the free throw situation this
year. Exactly. So for me, if you want to stand on business, do that in the first half.
Yeah.
Do it during the game. That's not the moment to try to stand on business in that instance.
Yeah.
Now, like I think both sides are wrong.
That's fake toughness.
That's fake toughness. I think Michigan was in the wrong for that. At that point, you got your butt whooped. Let them do what they do, man. They want to kiss the center of the logo. All right, y'all earned that on that day.
They earned that because they've been in that program for however long they've been in that program, and they earned it on the day because they kicked your teeth in. So go and get out the way.
Get out the way. They got it. Right. Yeah. But Trey Holloman at the same time, don't come up and push me off nothing. Right.
So that's the second piece of it.
Yeah, that's the second piece. Don't come up and push me off nothing. If I ain't moving, I ain't moving. Go talk to the coach, go talk to the rep. Don't come up and push me on nothing because then it's gonna be some problems.
Yeah,
but both sides.
I don't want to threaten a teenager or a young man in his early 20s or whatever, but
yeah.
If that was Daniel Horton standing at half court and you came and did that situation would have
escalated.
It would have ended totally different. And I'm pretty sure he could ask his coach and he would tell him the same thing. That's not you. Like, but at the same time, guys know who they can do that with, though.
Yeah.
Right. Like you see two guys right here, two freshmen, two guys who I don't want to say we've handled pretty easily the last.
They handled them. Let's be real. We've been handled this year. It's unfortunate, and I'm pissed off to say it, but we got handled this year.
Yeah, we've handled them pretty good. Hey man, he feeling himself. But I'm just saying, in a different era, different time, young blood, you'd have been leaving that arena lumped up for sure.
Oh man, for sure. I think both sides are in the wrong on that, man, and I just hate to see that happen, right? I want to see some of that toughness happen throughout the game, early in the game. I think,
like we said, hit him on the blockout.
Knock somebody out on the blockout first before you want to stand on business at the logo at the end of the game.
Or get physical with him when he going over them ball screens, cutting the top out your head with the mid-range jump shot.
That's when you do that. Yeah, that's when you do that and stand at him and look at him and just thinking about this rivalry, man. I think for Michigan, when Michigan is able to stand up to the task physically and toughness wise with Michigan State, that's when you have success.
Yep.
But when Michigan State is allowed to be the aggressor, set these illegal A screens and knock you down and all of this stuff, that's when you have problems. So I think for, these guys on Michigan squad, it's nothing like being in it and feeling it to understand how important and the intensity that this game has to it, right? So you can, all of these guys most of these guys are transplants from other places, right? You got a lot of guys transferred in. You got who? Namari and Will, the only guys who really played in it and felt what it felt like to lose to these guys and playing Breslin. So, like, to beat these dudes, man, you kind of got to take your lumps, right? You got to understand what it feels like to get your ass kicked. And then that's in the back of your mind as you're preparing for these guys the whole year and moving forward. So for Michigan and the coaching staff, I think now they got to understand the feel what this means. Like,
yep, this is our Ohio State.
Yeah,
like
this is
football,
what this means.
The football has Ohio State. We got Michigan State in basketball. Like, it's the same level of, I don't want to say hatred because it's sports hate. It's not real hate. Well, maybe for some people it's real hate, right?
Yeah.
But for us as competitors, it's sports hate. Like, you think about this you think about this game from the time the schedule comes out, right? When we play Sparty and how many times we playing.
And from summer workouts, like I said, if you've been in these things and you lost, like this year, you lost twice to these dudes. When I'm coming into summer, I'm thinking about this when I'm in the weight room.
Yeah,
like I'm thinking about this when I'm in summer conditioning. I'm thinking about this when I'm doing my individual skill workouts. Like that's the type of rivalry this is. And sometimes, like, you got a transplant coaching staff, you got transplant players. The magnitude of that is not felt right initially. So now that they've been in it and got their ass kicked twice, I think this team would be ready to compete. And don't get me wrong, it's a tough task, man. Going into Breslin is a tough task. They've created an environment and a program and a team. It's tough to beat them dudes at home. But now that you felt it, you understand it, and you got these bumps and bruises,
you know what to prepare for.
You know what to prepare for now.
Yeah. You know what to prepare for. You should have a better understanding of how to prepare. Right, so I'm very interested to see where this rivalry goes. You know what I'm saying, with Coach May and Coach Izzo. Izzo isn't going anywhere.
He ain't going nowhere.
So
and now you got a moment, you got a reference point, logo gate. You got a reference point of something to go back to. Say, okay, now this is real. This is how it go down. I had to separate players at mid court. Right?
No, now you have to separate your respect from competition, right? Like, I know, Coach May, you may have, like, all of us in the coaching profession have a high amount of respect for Coach Izzo and what he's accomplished.
100%.
But let me let you in on a little secret. When y'all in between them lines, he don't like you.
He don't like you.
He don't care nothing about your credentials. Right?
And if you were on fire, he wouldn't pull down his pants and pee on you
at all.
In between them lines to help you.
Yeah, so like, and I know Dusty, he's probably wanting to keep it real respectful, and you have to do that, right? First year on the job, first year. But now, like you said, you've had the logo incident, you've had these two intense matchups against it where you've come up short. Right now, you have the license to, hey man, like, we full steam ahead. We're trying to put our foot clear through you. So
clear through you, and that's the mentality you have to have.
Yep.
If you're trying to beat those dudes, you got to have that, because they're gonna have that.
Yeah, they gonna have that.
Yeah. Ain't no cute stuff when you're trying to come in there and beat MSU. You got to beat them with that first, and then you put yourself in position to do what you need to do. But tough stuff, man. But hey, man, another great show, man. I'm looking forward to breaking down some of this Big Ten tournament action, man. And I think it's gonna be a great tournament. Michigan is gonna have the opportunity to set things right now. They've had a great season. I think both of us, what we say, around a B+ season on this thing, man. But it's really, they still have everything in front of them.
I say A given the expectations.
A given the expectations. I say B+, man.
Yeah.
B+. And so I'm excited about it, man. And it's going to be a great Big Ten tournament, man. I think the Big Ten is a deep league. It's got some really good teams at the top, and I think it's going to be fun-filled. So I'm excited about watching it, man, and looking forward to covering this next week or so as we go deep into March Madness. So, man, until next
Yeah.
time, baby, March Madness is here. This is the Big Game Podcast. I'm your man, Chris Hunter, with my man, Daniel Horton. Again, like, subscribe, follow, comment if you like the content, man. We're going to keep bringing it to you. Until next time, man. Peace.
Peace.
On the Big Game Podcast.